back to Gapey's garden. Today we are actually in the front yard again. I didn't have time to go over all the stuff in the front yard, so I thought I would do a part 2 and show you some other things. So I did get around to trimming and tucking in the grapevines. So we've got Ian set grapes and the other one, I'll have to look that up, I can't remember. But we've got a field of grass here that we've got, and then a little kind of a cone-shaped pine tree that's kind of interesting. It's got really small needles. Part of it is kind of bare because of this other bush that's kind of rubbing up against it, but it's a neat little bush that pretty much stays in that shape. And then next to that we have a contorted filbert, and we've actually got another one of those. I don't know if I showed it over on the side of the garage right there, but this one is growing much bigger. We do prune that back because it gets pretty far into the driveway sometimes. And then this bush here, I don't know what it is, but it took a lot of damage this winter and a lot of it died back. So we did prune back a lot of it, but it's growing back pretty nicely. It's got a lot of new growth over the last month or two. And then let's go down this way a little bit. We've got some more lavender over here. The Spanish lavender, I'm not a big fan of Spanish lavender, so I never would have planted that, but it's been here since we moved in and it hasn't died, so I've been just letting it go. The bees also like it, not quite as much as the English lavender, which there's a few bees on right now. And this is a different variety than the other ones I have. I can't remember, I don't know if I have the tag. Oh, there it is, hidden way back there. So this one is called Intrigue, but that is, pretty sure that's an English variety, but it's not nearly as big as the other lavenders I showed you earlier, but it's I think it's been here about 3 years. And then over here is some ground cover behind the contorted filbert. This is called Mountain Sandwort, I believe, and that was planted by the previous owners, and there's a lot of grass that kind of grows in there that's hard to keep out, but I pulled out a lot of that. That's why there's a lot of bare spots right there. I just pulled the grass out that was trying to grow in there. And then we've got some large trees. We've got a few maples. There's 3 maples here, and then there's a false cypress between the maples. So we've got 3 of those as well. And then there's I don't know if you could see it, I showed you the wildflower bed last time, but it's growing a little bit more. There's a lot of cosmos coming up and bachelor buttons. And then let's go back over here. So there's a few other things, I'm not really sure what they are. There's that, I don't think it's flowered yet this year, but I can't remember what that's called. I think it was already here. But there's some more, I think that's the same thing, but it's actually flowering right now, but it's got these really light purple blossoms that are kind of tube-shaped. And let's go back here. It's 4th of July weekend, so there's a lot of traffic. So we're pretty close to the road. I don't know what this is, but it grows kind of lumpy and funky. It's kind of an interesting little bush. And we have a lot of ornamentals. There's some rhodies back here, and I think maybe some let's see, what is that? I'm not sure what that is. Pieris, I think that might be. And some of this other stuff I'm not really sure. But this bush here I recently discovered is a viburnum. At least that's what somebody told me. And let's go back here. So it's kind of a little jungle area. Another rhodie here. And rhodies are all done blooming. But I've got some berry bushes that I planted here. We've got a couple of gooseberries. So this one is called Captivator. And these are actually getting pretty close to harvest time. These ones are still kind of hard. But my other variety I think is a little bit closer to being ready. So this one is called Black Velvet. And it's got some nice dark purple gooseberries, and they're getting really big. But yeah, these ones are a lot softer, so I think these are about ready to pick. But these are a lot sweeter than the gooseberries I grew up with, so they're a lot tastier. And then right behind me we have some strawberries. And these are I think they're called Seascape strawberries. They're no, they're not everbearing, I don't think. I think they're June bearing, but they're a really late June bearing variety. And we've got one here that's just about ready. It's got a little bit of a green spot on the end, but the birds and other things have been really chowing down on these, so I have to kind of get to them before they do. But they get really big berries, but this is kind of just a temporary spot for them because we had these around an apple tree that we removed in the backyard. So we just put these back here until we get the fig tree planted in the back. And well, actually, let's keep going up here. So we've got a really big cedar tree. I'm not sure how tall that is, but it's really big. And some other things back here. That's probably another type of cypress. And I think this is some kind of a Japanese maple. It's got really dark leaves. And then this here is called a forest pansy. It's got some really pretty leaves. It's got some dark purple and kind of a dark green color. This, I'm surprised how big this one has gotten. We actually had this in the backyard from the previous owners and decided to move it in the front yard, and it's grown quite a bit. Then we've got a really big pine tree back here, about as tall as the maple that I just showed you. And then we have a couple of hydrangeas. This one is a ways from blooming, but this one has the big, really kind of pine cone-shaped flowers. But it's got a few flower buds, but it's a ways from blooming. And this is a black lace leaf elderberry. So I just recently harvested all the flowers off of it, so I don't think it's got any more. But it needs another one to cross-pollinate and produce berries, so this has never produced any berries, but I'd like to get a mate for it so that we can get some berries at some point. And then this here is a variegated red twig, what is it called? A dogwood, red twig dogwood, I think it's called. And then this one here is a 9-bark. And that's it's got some pretty dark, nice leaves there. And let's show you the wild strawberry patch that the birds planted for me. So a few years ago, I found 1 or 2 strawberry plants right here, and it's just grown over the last couple years. So it's all the way down here. So we get quite a few berries actually from this little strawberry patch from the birds. And let's show you, I have another hydrangea over here that is in bloom. So this one is more the traditional kind of a blue. Some of the blooms are actually pink and some are blue. That's just kind of your regular hydrangea. And then we have a smoke bush. This is a golden variety. That's really pretty. And actually that one died back quite a bit this winter as well. So it's a lot smaller than it was last year. Let's see, I think there's only one more thing, well, a couple more things I wanted to show you. Let's go back here. So this is actually a little, we call this our woodshed, but it's got the well pump. We're on a well here, so there's the pump in there. So here we have 2 really big honeysuckle bushes, and it seems to bloom for quite a while. So it's been blooming. You can see a lot of spent blooms there, but it's still got some new blooms coming out, and I'm not sure what variety this is. Again, it was planted by previous owners, so we've got that one there, and I think this is the same variety on the other side. And then this here is a berry bush that I started from a hardwood cutting, and I believe it's a Josta berry. So I think it produced a few berries last year. I would think, unless the birds already ate them. Oh, there's a few back here. So yeah, I think they're josta berries, but they're similar. I think it's like a cross between a currant and a gooseberry. But yeah, it looks like those are pretty, they're just kind of falling off, so they're probably ready. I don't see too many berries on there. And then there's some flowers back here that haven't opened up. These are hollyhocks that I started from, I think I started them from seed, but they're getting pretty tall. I have a couple different varieties of those back here. And then some other stuff I started from hardwood cuttings are these currants. So I have two different varieties. This is the white one, and it's just totally loaded. You can see how big and full those fruits are. So these are pretty much ready to harvest. They're pretty soft already. The one next to it is a red, or I think it's a red currant, also starting from a cutting, but I already harvested all those, so I don't think there's any more on there to show you, but I'll show you a picture of what they look like. Had a pretty good harvest of those. And some more white ones. This one isn't as productive as the other one I just showed you, but there's a few clusters of currants on there. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the front yard. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.